Today on Locked On Rockies, well, unfortunately, things aren't improving. And last night's another example of just how tough it's been to watch the Colorado Rockies and be a Colorado Rockies fan.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the third day of April in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day is talk Rockies baseball, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. And folks, you certainly have been part of the show here. 14 Hoops Fanatic says, keep holding it down, Paul. One day you will hopefully get to cover a good Rockies team with maybe a new owner. Thank you, 14 Hoops Fanatics. And thank you to all of our for everydayers out there. Tracy635, she writes comment on just about every single video we have. And I appreciate that in the chats as well, answering questions for Rockies fans. Folks, even in a tough spot, even in a tough start to the season, y'all's support of this show has been absolutely unreal, incredible. So really, really do appreciate you guys going through this stretch with me and going through Rockies baseball. Really, really do appreciate it. Find us favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Today on the show, what else is there to talk about other than the immense disappointment you feel at the Rockies? It's not only hard to watch just about everything go wrong for the Colorado Rockies to start the season, but it's especially hard to watch it happen to one of my favorite players. Now, spare me, folks. I understand you can sit there and you fire off, this person sucks, the Rockies suck, this organization sucks, they're never going to win, they're never going to do this, they're never going to do that, they're never going to do this. I got it. I really do. Like, and this is earned. I mean, this comes with the territory of being a Rockies fan. But, like, man, it sucks. Right now, there's nothing else to say other than it's totally sucks. Everything that's possibly gone wrong, other than big-time injuries, has gone wrong for the Colorado Rockies. And we talked about yesterday, everything that's going wrong shows that the flaws in what the Rockies have done. And it's another good reminder for us after we got hyped up over the spring, myself included. Spring doesn't matter as much, and the realities, the issues, the challenges facing this team are very large, are very big, are and it doesn't seem like this team is built to handle it. And it doesn't seem like some of the veterans on this team that the Rockies needed have started the season the way they needed to. And it starts with Kyle Freeland. I mean, I am a Kyle Freeland fan. I'll be a Kyle Freeland fan until the end of time. I think, when you're a pitcher, when you struggle, when you're a baseball player, there's a lot of context you have to bring in there, but something is incredibly wrong. And when we analyze this stuff, and when we look at this stuff, and when we think about how we got here as Rockies fans, this is why you have issues with this is why the issues with the organization continue. Kyle Freeland has not gotten better over his career, and he's certainly not gotten better since the changes in the pitching staff. A guy that was a great Coors Field pitcher had a huge dip in velocity and has massive control issues right now. I know the velocity is back up, but if you're stretching, if you're reaching, I saw a tweet from my buddy Jamron today. If you're reaching to get 94, if you are abandoning all of the mechanics, all of the control and everything so you can increase that velocity at the cost of missing spots, you can't do that as Kyle Freeland. That's not how it works with your pitch. That's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked for Kyle Freeland. Whatever approach that they have gone with Kyle and whatever they've worked with Kyle, it has continually to trend downward over the years. And you can sit and say, it's just Kyle. And I mean, there's an argument to be made there. He's the player. He's the one. He needs to be performing. He needs to be doing more. He is easily the most important pitcher on this Rockies roster. But I'm not going to sit here and ignore the fact that downward trends and no changes in coaching, no changes in organization, no changes in philosophy from the Rockies organization itself while they are working with Kyle Freeland is a massive problem. The Rockies have not been able to figure out the downward trend of Kyle Freeland. In fact, it seems that they have done nothing to help. What is Rockies pitching coaching doing right now? What is being taught? What is being focused on? Because what we're watching, what we're witnessing from the starting pitchers outside of Dakota Hudson through their first starts of the season are massive problems. Kyle Freeland has given up more runs in the first two starts for a left-handed pitcher since 1912. That was a graphic that comes up yesterday. And how many times do you have to scroll just through all of the recommended stuff? Any single time that comes up from the Rockies, it's just roasting, insults. I mean, it's everything that they've done on full display. And there's nothing you can do as a Rockies fan but other than sit there and take it. Because what are you going to say? Man, it breaks my heart to watch Kyle Freeland, easily one of my favorite Rockies players, go through this. It's so painful to look at this team so lifeless when it's not even a week in the season. I mean, the Rockies have gotten demolished, demoralized in back-to-back series. 2 10-plus run losses in the first week of the season is unacceptable. And if it doesn't make ownership, if it doesn't make the front office, if it doesn't inspire change through the Rockies, then you're going to continue to be the laughingstock of the league. There are teams that have started out worse than the Rockies. The Marlins haven't won yet. As of before the game yesterday, the A's had committed more errors than scored runs. The Astros have one win. There are teams that have tough starts right now. But do they look as lifeless, as hopeless, as energyless as the Colorado Rockies? What is that club, what is that team doing to build energy, build momentum, build confidence in themselves? Because that team is going out on the field right now looking like they're going to lose. And certainly, I fully believe they are capable of competing with the Cubs. I don't think it's that homerish to say that when you're competing against the Central divisions in baseball, you have a better chance versus the West and the East divisions in baseball. There's certainly teams in the NL East you can have an argument about that the Rockies should be able to go toe-to-toe with as well. But right now, all of the doubters, all of the haters, every single thing that the people wanted to bring up and have issue with and point out the flaws with this team, it's coming true. I mean, there is nothing more powerful to the Rockies haters than what just happened this week. The worst opening, I mean, it's not even over yet, but the worst opening week. I mean, maybe not even there might be some other examples, but man, to follow this up with the way that the Rockies, to follow up that season, I said it yesterday, with this, where's the preparation? Where's the accountability? Where's the leadership on this team? And that goes from the top down. Charlie Blackmon can't keep doing everything for you. Everyone could have sat there and said everything they wanted to, but that's a veteran player that's come out to play every single day at the yard and act like he belongs to be there, deserves to be there. This team needs leadership from the people that are supposed to be leaders. And it isn't just players. The roster, the players are the players, and the roster is constructed. That's not on them. What are the leaders outside? What is Bud Black? What are the hitting and pitching coaches doing? What are the bench coaches doing? What are people doing in this organization to build confidence other than classic roundabout stuff? When is this team going to take the field with confidence? When is this team going to go out and actually look like they're ready to play a game? Because they haven't. They have come out flat. They have come out and looked outmatched. And yes, you can pin it on the players. Be critical of the players. I mean, Chris Bryant, woof. I mean, the warning signs of all the players are there. But again, I ask that just like I got fired up yesterday, what is the front office and what are the people in the position of change going to do about this? The answer is most likely nothing. Spoiler alert, Dick Monfort, Antonio Senzatella and German Marquez are not going to save this rotation. German Marquez might, but if you think that Antonio Senzatella can return from 2 major injuries and go back to pitching the way he was pitching in his effective times after you've shown that you've mishandled and not been able to handle Kyle Freeland's decline, I have zero faith in the Rockies being able to get Antonio Senzatella prepared and ready to be an effective pitcher. I believe in German Marquez, but 2 massive injuries, missing a ton of time while the Rockies' entire pitching philosophy is being exposed for being bad, in my opinion. Bringing Senza in won't make everything better, especially if you're going to be facing a situation if Cal Quantrill and Dakota Hudson pitch well. There's so many issues right now, and it's just drowning. I mean, I can't emphasize enough my frustrations with this team and with the leadership of this team. Let's keep breaking it down. Let's keep talking Rockies. Let's keep talking about what's on our mind here on the Locked On Rockies podcast for today. We'll look ahead to the finale. We will we have to, it's a long season, so we do have to do the deep breath and remind ourselves we got to give the team some time. But like we talked about, time isn't something that the team had a lot of this year. It's coming up here all on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. That could be hits. If you want to go baseball, it could be picking Rockies to go more or less on hits, strikeouts, RBI, stuff like that. You can even dive into basketball, Nikola Jokic points, Jamal Murray rebounds, Aaron Gordon dunks, all that good stuff. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on all the playoff action when it starts. I mean, it's coming up here, the NBA, just around the corner, which is crazy. You can get in on the playoff action and all the other action going on and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You're not going to want to miss that. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That is code LOCKEDONMLB when you download the PrizePicks app, and you can get that first deposit match up to $100, and you can be the best daily fantasy sports player that you want to be. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And speaking of the Locked On Podcast Network, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Well, you can make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And hey, a reminder to you folks as well, we are on Sirius XM. Our current, you can find the Rockies playing the Cubs tonight at, let's see, what time is that game? It is please 5:40 Mountain Time tonight. 5:40 Mountain Time for that, and you can catch the game and all the play-by-play on Sirius XM on the Sirius XM app. Just search Colorado Rockies. You can even search Locked On Rockies too, folks. All right, so. Man, I wanted to try, when I was thinking about the episode, I was trying to put all my thoughts together, put everything together, and try to weed out some of just being all fired up and everything. But it's tough. I mean, it is so. I mean, in sports fandom in the world today, it's a crazy thing to be like, oh man, there's so much negativity around this. I understand this. I get it. But I mean, how are the Rockies okay with being a joke? Like, I know they're not okay with it. Obviously, no team is okay with being the joke. But I mean, seriously, like, this team, I mean, every concern that people had with the Rockies this year, with it being so much on full display right here. Like, what is going through the mind of Dick Monfort? What is going through the mind of Bud Black? Bam Bam. Like, these guys are professionals and know more about the game of baseball than I'll ever learn. I understand that. I'm not sitting here and saying that I can determine that I know baseball more than these professionals. It's far from it. I barely even got playing time as on my varsity baseball team. I had to fight. I understand my role in all this. But when you go back and when we reflect on that Dick Monfort interview, and he talks about how people wanted the job, wanted to come to Colorado, wanted to show him their ideas of how to fix things, how to be successful at Colorado. But to just sit there and say, no, we got to figure it out. No, I know how to do this. That closed-mindedness is exactly the reason why there's so little hope. It's exactly why the Rockies are in the position they're in now. I really, truly want to know what these people in the front office and in the organization are doing in terms of success in Dick Monfort's eyes that they deserve to be where they are. And that is for any single person in the organization that handles development, that handles it. Like, how can you sit there and be satisfied with the state of the team? How can you sit there and say you're fully confident in the people that are making the decisions and running things when that's not the case? The results do not back it up. Give Bill Schmidt time. Give Bill Schmidt time. How much more time? Do I got to go through another 100-loss season with no activity in the offseason? To be told that, we got it. We got the pieces. We got the pieces. We got the pieces. We got the pieces. When we know we don't have all the pieces. How does literally the For You or whatever recommended stuff on Twitter has just been people laughing at the Rockies. Deservedly so. I mean, I don't wish this ill will on the Rockies, but you can't sit there and be shocked that people are making a mockery out of the Rockies' performance so far this year. It's been pitiful. Downright pitiful. This team hasn't limped out of the gate. They fell flat on their face and have continued to run face down in the mud during this first part of the week. And yes, the players are responsible. Yes, that they need to be doing more. Yes, they need to be, especially the veteran players. Well, one big name veteran player. But it just comes back to my main point of leadership. I don't think the Rockies have a strong. I think Charlie Blackmon's a good veteran leader presence, but Charlie Blackmon has been a Rocky forever. There is nobody in that locker room that understands the dysfunction of the Colorado Rockies more than Charlie Blackmon. Maybe Kyle Freeland's in there too, but he's sitting there going through what the hell is going wrong with me. Charlie Blackmon's at least going out there and saying, look, everyone could have had the doubts from me, but I'm still out here doing what I do. 7 hits and 19 at-bats, batting .368 with a stolen bag, 3 RBI and a walk. That's the guy the Rockies' entire organization needs to look at and say, we got to do it for that guy. That guy shows up to the yard, and not once has he looked like he is out of place like the rest of us have. Because the rest of us weren't ready for the season. Plain and simple. This team, with the defense issues that they've shown, with the errors, with the brain farts, with everything, we're not ready to go. They weren't. They were not ready to start this year with the challenge that they've been given. They have no time to recuperate. Every single loss that you add at this point in the season makes the hill that much steeper to climb. We talked about how difficult this schedule is. We talked about how tough this will be. The Rockies themselves had to have talked about how tough this will be. Where is the leadership? Where is the accountability? What changes because of this? Because what changed after a 100-loss season for the first time in Colorado Rockies history? Nothing. No firings, no changes in the front office, no new perspectives, nothing. Dick's got his boys, and he is good to go. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit and let us remind ourselves the length of the baseball season, and let us remind ourselves that this team does deserve time because tough stretches do in fact happen. It just hurts the worst when it's the beginning of the year, when there is prime opportunities. It certainly doesn't hurt the worst. There's worse times to go have bad stretches in baseball. But for the Rockies, for a season that required you to start off in a new way, to do something differently, to show that a shift and a change has happened within the organization. They have not reached that. They have not come close to that. And they have only added fuel to the fire of the doubt and disappointment of the Colorado Rockies. Let's talk about time coming up in segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, we got to talk about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. I love Gametime. Gametime has got you covered when you need tickets. I mean, it could be tickets for sports. It could be tickets for the big concert coming to town. It could be tickets for just about every high-profile event in your area. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guaranteed, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Folks, the best thing about Gametime are not only are the prices, not only are those great deals, not only the super easy-to-use app, but I love the seat views. Nothing more that I love, because why? I want to know what I'm buying. I want to feel confident. I want to know where I'm sitting. I want to make sure that when I go there and I plan a day and I buy these tickets, that I'm not sitting behind a giant pole. Gametime's got you covered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime for a limited time. All users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with the code FIRSTPITCH. Terms do apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off from March 25th to April 14th only. So 11 days left there. Download the Gametime app today. Use code FIRSTPITCH. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Shout outs to our everydayers out there. And I know it's been a tough stretch, folks, but again, I really can't Thank you enough for your support of the show over the last couple of weeks. It has just been really, really incredible to see the turnout, and we'll see if it carries throughout the year. I know it's a new year, and people definitely might spite watch some stuff, but Rockies fans really, really do appreciate y'all tuning in to the show. It smashing numbers records for the show for like 2 weeks now, which is a really humbling feeling for me coming into my 4th season doing this pod, and especially how it starts. So I really do thank each and every one of you for taking the time to hang out with me and tune in and watch and learn and, well, dive into. I don't know if I'm teaching you much about Rockies baseball here. But folks, at the end of the day with this, as frustrating, as terrible, as annoying as this has been, the Rockies do need time. They need time. They have young guys. It's the first week of the season. There's a lot of baseball left to be played. They haven't played at Coors Field yet. Tough stretches happen. But the biggest thing that we've talked, one of the things we talked about throughout the offseason, how does the team respond? And with the lack of a response right now throughout these games, that's what's been most frustrating outside of the Saturday game against Arizona. But I'm still tuning in. I'm still confident that that the Rockies have players on their roster that can succeed. I'm still confident that this Rockies team is underperforming what their potential is. I believe that this Rockies team is better than they are playing right now. But that, I mean, how long do I say that? Is it a month? Do we go the full month of April? Do we need the full month of April to make our determinations and evaluations? I mean, baseball's weird like that. I get that. Until everyone gets like 100 at-bats, do we really know where they're at in terms of this season? Certainly the time and the more exposure and the more reps are going to help the Rockies, and players will break out of the slumps. But we can't just rely on that excuse. Hopefully, by the end of the season, Kyle Freeland has the Brendan Rodgers type season where we look back and we say this was the worst start that he's ever had in his entire career. He was historically bad, and he finished off the season as one of the most effective pitchers on the rotation. Hopefully, we can say that this defense starts playing the elite level that we know it is capable of playing. And instead of diving and missing balls that are going underneath our outfielders and rolling to the wall and scoring multiple runs, they're going to make those big plays. While it seems like all hope is lost, there is still plenty of baseball left to be played. There is still an opportunity for this team to show us. There is still an opportunity for this team to improve. There is still an opportunity for this team to demonstrate why we should believe in them, why we have confidence in them, and should demonstrate Dick Monfort and his organization's enthusiasm and hope and loyalty to these players. There is time for us to see what Dick Monfort sees in this team. But the clock is ticking. The schedule doesn't get any easier. The time to respond for the Colorado Rockies was last Friday. So they are long overdue. And I know Saturday, big game on Saturday. That's how they got their win. Tied in wins with the Astros, more wins than the Marlins. More wins than, let's see, anybody else? Tied with the White Sox for wins. Tied with the Astros and the Athletics for wins. Tied with the Nationals. Mets and the Marlins still winless. The Central Division that I've talked crap on all have more wins than the Rockies do. And Giants only one game ahead there with 2 wins. But it's going to start slipping away, folks. It's going to start slipping away. It only gets more difficult for the Rockies from here. You have to make an adjustment. Next series for the Rockies: Rays, Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, Phillies, Mariners, Padres, Astros. May, Marlins, Pirates, Giants, Padres, Rangers, A's, Guardians. You finally see the Dodgers late in May. I mean, you have to respond. The benchmark that you're measuring yourself against right now in this stretch of the season is playoff teams, and the Rockies couldn't be further from a playoff team. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us today. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Your support on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel is the easiest way to help the show grow. Your likes, your subscriptions, your commenting on the videos are the best way to help the show grow. For your second listen of the day, Locked On MLB's got you covered. Or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.